one. We are live. Introduce us, sir.
Everybody, we are live. Welcome back to the Flip Flop Flipper. We're doing a Saturday version of Deal Flippers. Robbie and Adan. Today we're going to talk about house hacks. Adan's got something under contract that would make an amazing house hack here in Puerto Rico. It would absolutely crush it for someone who's come for one of the acts and needs to buy something to qualify. You could live in a portion of this. You could rent out a portion of it and still have some leftover money at the end of every month. And that's what a house hack is all about, right? So we're going to get into it. We're going to talk about how Adan found this place. We're going to talk about deep dive into what a house hack is and why this one is so good. I mean, this one, you're going to love it, guys. You're not going to want to miss it. If you're there, if there's anybody coming on, hit the thumbs up on the way in. And yeah, Adan, say hello.
Hello. So, yeah. How did I find this hack? Well,
so first, has anybody joined us yet? Are we getting people?
And one guy there.
And we got one guy. Listen and ask questions too. So guys, we want this to be as interactive as possible. If you're watching this on Facebook or Instagram, would love for you to hop over to YouTube and give us a thumbs up. And you can watch it anywhere you want, but we're super close to that 4,000 hours on YouTube, which means we'd be monetized. We might make like $8 a month, and that would be great. So these lives help. If you do watch the live and you're able to do it from YouTube, it gives us the hours, and so that's cool too. So
guys, there's a lot of effort, a lot of money that goes into trying to make these things happen. A lot of switching of studios. So just with those likes and watching our stuff, it really, really helps. So thank you.
Yeah, comment on what do you think of the studio. This might be our last day here, as my wife is next door. We've got two apartments that sort of mirror each other, and she's trying to get them ready for Airbnb. And so she told me I have an hour before we've got to get out of here. So we're going to do this for about an hour, and then we're going to go. Maybe we'll get to come back, maybe not.
Maybe. So
Adan, tell us how you found this deal, and then let's just dive into the deal and we'll show it. Are you able to put it up on the screen so that people can kind of look at it, and we'll run through it?
Yes, sir. 2 seconds. Here we go. So go into this. So here's the deal. This is. There we go. All right. So the deal is. This is a multifamily unit in Rio Piedras. Rio Piedras is a college town with one of the biggest universities here on the island, which is UPR, Universidad de Puerto Rico, Piedras. I was talking to the realtor yesterday, and he said under 30,000 students live in that town.
Oh, just right at 30,000 students, right? That's pretty. That is pretty amazing, and you can see it like since the school is reopened from COVID. So we've got a property right down the street that we're renovating, and hopefully we'll rent to some of these college kids and other locals alike. But you can see now that the school is back open, the town is thriving. Yeah. So it's really fun to watch.
Well, it's a typical
college town. Yeah.
So you have the big university, you have all these little sub businesses that work off that: laundromats, bars, restaurants, extended stays, stuff like that. And if you close all that down, everything dies around it.
Yeah. And unfortunately for COVID, for quite a while, it was closed down. So that really did sort of set everything back in the town. It was harder for the restaurants to stay open because the kids weren't there, harder for rental properties to stay in good condition because there wasn't people living in them. So yeah, it's nice to see people, and business and everything going on in the town again now.
It's ridiculous. I remember when I used to hang out there when I was like, 20, and it was always just full of young people everywhere.
Yeah, we need to go over there and actually do a video, walk the streets, and show people the area and the town, because it's really nice. This town has got a very cool feel to it. It's sort of European-esque with streets that you walk on, and there's commerce going. It's got a really fun vibe.
Yes. And not only that, the plaza looks like it's coming back to life. You have little mini markets going on out there on the weekends, people selling cakes and trinkets. What did you call it the other day? It was a
Tchotchkes.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. And there's a new hotel opening there. There's brand new renovated long-term rentals. Like, it's really, really cool. And it's starting to look really, really nice.
Yeah.
So let's get into this deal, right? So I found this deal just scouring the internet one day. I forgot about it because that's what I'm working on this year, follow through, and remembering that, hey, I reached out, I should come back. And when I found the deal again, I spoke to the person and went to see it and looked at it right away and said, wow, this right here can be student housing, can be just the greatest student housing in the whole freaking town.
Yeah.
Just because it has so much more amenities than anything else around it. So in this college town, you could see that for the most part, it's big old style Spanish houses, and they rent the rooms, and that's about it. Bare minimum. Most of them do not have like laundry for the students or any other amenities, not even parking for the most part.
And not even really updated, right? Like, so not that they're in bad shape, but they've looked the way that they look for a long, long time. And this house isn't really different than that. It needs updating, but there's plenty of room in the deal. So someone who comes in and buys this and decides that they want to either just rent out the whole thing, or if they're going to live in it, they could fix this place up and really, really make it nice. It's got very cool architecture. It's got the arches. It's got the cool tile floors. I mean, it's got so much charm and character. So it's really a great project, a really fun project for someone who wants to come and do it.
And it works for all levels, right? If you just want to buy it as is right now and get it working, it's a matter of just cleaning out what's inside, putting some fresh paint, and getting on the market.
Yeah.
It still has power. It still has water. Everything works. There's no leaks. There's no major damages that you can be like, oh my God, we need to fix this hole in the roof. There's none of that. It's a matter of how far do you want to take it. And so as is right now, I was thinking like rentals can be on the low 400s.
So you're talking about per room too. So let's make sure everyone understands. You're talking about renting to students and as is, basically, or very close to as is condition.
Yes.
So then what are you thinking rents would be?
Yes. And just so you get a little bit more context of the house. The house is 3 units. The main house has 4 rooms upstairs, 4 rooms downstairs. So a total of 8 in the main house, and then the little studio in the back that qualifies as 9.
Each floor is a 4-bedroom, 2-bath house, like full on house, right? This isn't a small place.
No, it's got a balcony, it's got a kitchen, it's got a living
right.
room.
That's exactly right. It's got a front porch, a back porch, 2 bathrooms, a kitchen. I mean, nice living room, and actually the building looks like it's probably built at the same time and by the same architect as whoever built the Calle Hor house that we're renovating right now. On Calle Hor. Calle, how do you say? Hore. Well, anyway, the house in Miramar.
And I went and looked at it first, and then when I brought Robert, he said it's a 3 unit, but honestly, there's 2 more units back there, and we agree, and so did the realtor, that you can't classify them as unit because they're so tiny, but they do have water and power, so there are showers and there's electricity. So I was thinking, if you were going to take this project to the highest and best use for long-term and stuff like that, then I was thinking amenities. Like me as a student, what would I like to have here? First is laundry. Oh man.
On-site laundry.
On-site laundry. So, because that's a problem I have now. I don't have a laundry in my apartment. And I have to walk out with my bag of clothes, take it to somewhere that says, hey, it's going to be this much. I got to wait a day. Hey, I couldn't make it, so I got to wait till the next day. Headache.
Yeah.
So that's first. Second, this place comes with at least, you can fit 6 cars on both sides of the building. It has its own private parking. You can see it here in the middle picture, and at the top picture you could see. that there's parking on both sides of the building, right? And here on the bottom left corner, you can see that that's the little storage I'm talking about. So imagine you take that little storage and convert that to a coin laundry. You have now an extra revenue, and you know it's going to be used because you have 8 to 9 students staying in that one place. Who's going to want to carry a bag of clothes somewhere else?
Yeah.
Find parking, go move this, that, when you can just go to the back, wash your clothes, and be done with it.
Yep.
So that's amenity number 1. Amenity number 2 is parking. And now amenity number 3, which I like a lot, and I like this idea. I like it for a lot of the projects I go think about, is you have access here to the roof from the side.
Straight up the stairs.
So
Yeah.
if you make it, this before Maria had a rooftop, so it had like a little shaded area that
Mhm.
you can hang out in. So if you were to put that nice roof back on, or something that can withstand Maria without,
Or even if you did shade kites and
yeah,
stuck a little grill up there. I mean, you could have a fun spot.
yes, and it has a bathroom up there.
Is there?
There's a bathroom up there.
Okay, I didn't know that.
And a sink and everything. So you could do something that
Yeah.
that you create a little bar area with a little grill, and have a cool place to hang out, and encourage people to hang out there and up there, and less wear and tear on the apartment, because now, hey, I can hang out outside, I can read outside, I can
Yeah.
do whatever I want outside. And the beauty about this house, you also have balconies, but
Yep.
when you have a party, you can all hang out outside, and you know that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So at the highest and best use, you add all those amenities. You have a fresh new place. You're not going to have to break down walls, maybe one wall to extend the kitchen more than anything on the second floor.
Okay.
But other than that, it's
It's a very straightforward, very easy renovation. Like if you were to go in and clean it up, we call them carpet and paint in the States, but you're not putting carpet in this place. It's got beautiful period piece tiles throughout. It's got really good floors that you can save, but
I love
to the point, it just needs to be spruced up, updated a little bit. I think the kitchens, could be all new, and that would make a big difference if you did that. The importance about those apartments, so there are actually 5 separate spaces, and we're calling it a 3-unit because 2 of the spaces are really small. I mean, it's barely big enough to put a bed, but then it has a bathroom. But if you extend those out, you'd have an extra rental space, or you'd be able to put laundry in it. The importance of having it be 4 units or less is that you can qualify right now for an FHA, a VA, any Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac loan, any conventional regular loan. So if you're thinking of finding something where you would live in 1 unit and then rent out the rest of the place and make some money along the way and have someone pay for your house, this absolutely works right now. While you're doing that, you could then go in and create these spaces to be a little bit bigger and then pick up extra revenue as well.
Yeah.
So it's really got a ton of options, right? The place in the back is a 1-bedroom apartment. It's small as well, but it's got a room that you walk in and there's a bathroom and a kitchen, and then it has its own separate bedroom. So it's actually big enough for someone to live in and collect the same kind of rents, $400-500 a month back there. No problem. Actually, I think back there in that standalone place, $500 a month for someone wouldn't be out of the question at all, without really doing anything to it, just cleaning it up, maybe paint it. So it's really ready to go. It's ready to make money. It's being lived in currently. This is really cool, I think, part of the story. And Adan, you might know better than I do, but the family who's living there that's moving out, mom and dad are going to move in with their daughter. They've been in this house for 50 years.
yes.
I don't know if they built it, but they've been there for a long, long time.
I'm pretty sure if they're not the first set of owners,
Then they're the second.
They have to be the second.
Yeah.
Because what I learned recently from this neighborhood is when this neighborhood's hard to buy in, because the older generation that lives there is one of those that
They don't leave.
live here and I die here.
Yeah.
And that's understandable. That's your home. That's probably where you brought up your family. There's a lot of that emotional equity in it.
Yeah.
But the story goes like this. We know here on the island, we have the biggest issue, which is inheritance, right?
Yeah, inheritance laws here are
Inheritance is a
tough.
headache. You know, it shouldn't be this difficult once you have a family member pass away, that you should be able to distribute what's theirs to yours, right? To the kin. So when I met the people that are selling, this gentleman is 94 years old. His wife is around 86. They are an older couple. And in the first couple weeks I was there looking at it and talking with them, the gentleman had to go twice to the hospital.
Mm.
So the family members have this pressure to sell because they don't want to have to go through inheritance, because hey, one of the sisters is the one that's going to take the family, the mom and dad, into her home and create an environment for them to live, and she can take care of them, because
Yep.
living separately is very difficult right now for everybody, especially if you have a real emergency. You have that poor old lady, she can barely carry anything.
Yeah.
If that man falls, there's a big issue.
Yeah.
So they have this pressure to sell, not because that's their childhood home or anything like that. It's just they don't want to go through the headache of having to go talk to the other sisters, talk to everybody, and be like, all right, this happened. How are we going to distribute it? Let's all sell a house. Oh, no. That one sister says, nope, I don't want to sell a house.
Well, and right now the decision lies on mom and dad.
Yeah.
So mom and dad own the house. That's where the decision lies. Should they start to pass away, the way that the inheritance laws are set up, then you bring in more and more and more decision makers. So it gets crazy here on the island, and it's a hardship, right? Like, so assuming that your children all love each other while you're alive, and then you die and you leave them something. But what if they have spouses who don't agree with, or one person wants to keep it and one person wants to sell it? Or what about just end of life? Who's going to pay for mom and dad to end life well? But they could sell this house and they could put a couple $100,000 in their pocket, and they're going to be living life well. They're going to end life well, and they get to use that money that's stored up in this house. I don't know. I'm a parent and I have mixed emotions about it, but I do know that I want to leave my children something, but I also know that I don't want to be a burden on anybody else just so that I can protect a house. So I'll sell everything so that I'll spend my money on myself.
Yeah.
That way my children don't have to do it, and hopefully set it up in a way that people don't fight. We see it time and time again that once people start to pass away, families fall apart. Even close-knit families that love each other, when money starts to get involved and multiple decision makers are called into play, it gets difficult. It usually falls on one of the siblings, and then it just goes worse from there. So.
Yeah. I know, and it's like you said, you're already going through a tough time. You lost that parent. You're not thinking straight. You want to have that time to regroup yourself and be like, be able to pass that. Oh, I just went through a traumatic experience. Let me bring myself back. But now you're getting hit left and right with like, what are we gonna do with this? Who's gonna take that? Do you want this? I went through something like that, and it's just like, it's not fun.
Everybody goes through that. My wife's family has been going through it since her father passed, and then her mom passed away, and there's 3 sisters, and they love each other. But there was a person managing the estate, and he's just caused distrust between the girls and pits them against each other. It's almost as if he's a predator. And that's not uncommon, right? Like, that's just so common that people who are making money off of these estates, they want this stuff to drag out for as long as possible. If I was an estate attorney, I'd move to Puerto Rico. I mean, my goodness, it's so messed up here. It's crazy.
Yeah, things can go on for more than 20 years. Like inheritance. Like,
think about that. Now you could have 2 generations die, and then you have who knows how many cousins. And that's why things get left and forgotten and abandoned, and they're so hard to get, right? Like, so you see these buildings and you're just like, why is someone letting that sit there? It's not someone, it's a whole, either it's no one and no one does anything about it. Or it could be a whole team of cousins that are all over the U.S., don't even know each other and don't even know that their grandparents died and left the piece to their mom and their dad, and it just goes and goes.
You know, and it's just next of kin.
Right.
It's crazy.
And what we're talking about, guys, if you're stateside and you think about an inheritance, if you die, you get to dictate who you leave your estate to. And that's what I was used to. That's what anyone who's in the US, the core US, is pretty much used to. But here on the island, they have a lineage forced inheritance, basically. So if, in this case, if mom dies or if dad dies, then half goes to the spouse and half automatically goes to the kids. And then when the other dies, it gets divided up again. And even if you are naming heirs and you want it to go to other people, it's mandatory that half of it, or a portion, I don't even know how it works, but a portion of it definitely always goes to the next in line as far as kin, right? Like, so if you have a, let's use like Dave McCallie and Carol McCallie, right? They don't have any children. So if they were to die in this house and they were going to leave it, it would go first to like Dave's brother, Dave's sister, Dave's other brother, Carol's, let's assume they die at the same time, Carol's brother, Carol's mother, whoever the next in line are, it would divide out all over those people. It really gets messy, right? And now you have distant relatives who are fighting over this stuff, and it's awful. And we see it a lot. We see it so much because people bring us a lot of stuff to look at, and they'll be like, "Hey, look at this abandoned building," and we find out, well, there's 9 brothers and sisters and 6 cousins, and 2 of them might be dead, but they haven't been declared dead yet, and it's yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah,
it's really, really crazy.
Yeah, no, it's crazy, and it's not only that, it's also knowing what to do with your real estate. These guys knew they had to get rid of it, and they're not giving it away for free.
Yeah,
but they understand that if you have urgency,
yeah,
you can't ask top dollar.
Yeah,
and we're talking about top dollar is you fix it up, you get it really, really nice and ready to go.
Yeah,
and then you can ask for 400, 500, all the way up to where you want to, right? But when you have a greedy family or a greedy family member that, hey, this house is falling apart, but it's in front of the beach, so we're going to ask $1 million. It's like, you can't do that. You can't do that because you can do it.
It gets done every day.
You can ask it. But because the ways laws change, and now the maritime laws and all that stuff, if that house that was there is still a standing structure, you can build that house up. But if you tear that house down, now you have a really expensive piece of land that you can do nothing on.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
And it's like, what do you rather do? Sell it for a good price and everybody wins because you're all, which is very rare, all in the same mind of, hey, we should all.
Well, I think in this case, right, it's let's take care of mom and dad. Mom and dad are like, yeah, let's take care of mom and dad. We're 100%. There's money tied up in this house, and it's better to get now. Yeah. Get the best care that you can get, end life really well, and then it's really easy to divide up money, right? So if they get a couple $100,000 and they spend $50,000 over the next few years living in medical and all of that stuff, and there's some money left over for the estate, it's easy to divide it up. You don't have to have arguments over it and stuff like that. It's just a lot simpler.
Here's another thing I forgot. There's also an issue happening here with the changeover from Luma to the, what was it? The electrical company of Puerto Rico to Luma and all that stuff.
Yeah.
The people that were grandfathered in a while back, some of them that are retired and been retired for like 20 plus years are starting to not get their pension checks.
Oh, so you're right. So that's why this became such a desperate time for this family to sell the house, is that the pension from this guy, he's 94 years old, and he worked his lifetime with the power company and
lived off his
and they've told you, and I didn't hear this story, but they're losing the pension now, or
So they're not saying they're losing it. They're just saying, hey, we can't pay it right now. We'll give it to you eventually in a lump sum or something like that. But eventually, for a guy that's 94,
yeah, I don't have. If I'm 52, and I don't want to hear about eventually. If I'm 94 years old, eventually for me is next week. We need to go.
you're one bad trip away from just
Yeah,
it's all gone, it's all done,
yeah,
and that's really scary. And not only that, it's not scary. I would imagine at one point or another you have to come to terms with what's going on with your physical life.
yeah,
But it's also what you're leaving behind, like the headache of the house. My wife will still be alive. Will she be taken care of? How can I make sure that I leave a little bit of something to make sure she lives a
Yeah.
comfortable life?
absolutely.
My daughter's not stressing out over money and having to go get a second job, a third job, a fourth job.
Yeah.
She has her own son, like it's a lot of thought that goes behind it.
Yeah.
And those are tough decisions, but what they're doing, in my opinion, is one of those better options. We do it now,
Mm-hmm.
we get under contract, and we make sure that even if I trip tomorrow and something happens or something drastic happens, and they're really, really nice older couple.
Yeah. And you got to spend some time with them now. You've been over. So I was out of town when you found this place, and I think you had gone there at least a few times before I made it back. And then we went and met with them, and I think I've been there a couple times now. So you've probably had interaction with them 6, 7, 8 times, something like that.
Yeah, I talk to them, try to get a feel for what's going on. I want to make sure that they feel comfortable with everything they're going through.
Yeah.
And I sat with them. We read the terms and conditions and the contracts and make sure everybody understood what's going on, and just got to talk to them for a little bit and find out all that information. I'm just telling you, hey, I might be losing my pension. Hey, that's how I used to live. They're severely under rented. There's only one guy right now renting in the back, and he's not paying what market rent is, and that's fine with them because they're helping someone out.
It's something. Yeah.
And they're getting something. They weren't depending on that rent. There was it's just something extra that can pay for water or power.
But then when it changes and they're going to lose $4 or $5 grand a month, they need some cash.
Yeah. Here we have a question here real quick. So guys, please, if you're watching this, like the video, share it. It really helps. It really keeps us motivated to do more. And ask your questions in the chat. Hi, Mario. Good to see you here. Thank you for showing up. And we got a question from Manny Moves. Let's see. My grandfather has property, and from what I heard, he said he didn't want it. But I don't know. I don't think there's any paperwork. I think I should stir up some feathers.
Wow. So your grandfather, if he's still alive, he inherited some property, you're saying, and you don't even have paperwork, I think is what your question is, or what you're saying there. Could you
elaborate?
Could you elaborate, Manny? Yeah. So, and I think that what you're saying is not uncommon, right? So he's got this, he barely knows what he's got, and he doesn't have paperwork to show what he's got. And then when he passes on, eventually it gets down the line to nobody, right? Because nobody can remember. But Grandpa had some land off in the mountains, right? And we don't know where the paperwork is. It's just forgotten and gone.
Takes all that stuff back.
And
not only that,
the government doesn't even take it back, though. It just sits. And if there's a property on it, it just decays. It's really tough.
Not even that. It's like you always say. It's like the house I sold in Florida.
Yeah.
Right away, they could see I owned it, and right away when I sold it, the other guy owned it.
Yeah. You
bought a property here that I told you earlier.
Yeah.
That you own. You have the deed in your hand.
That we've owned for close to a year.
Yeah, since last year.
Yeah.
And it still doesn't register.
Right.
In the cream or any other place you look.
Yeah.
Hey, this is PR Consultants. Blah.
Yep.
No. And that's really hard, because if you can at least go to the cream, which is the government website, and be like, hey, it says here I own it.
No.
Is that enough evidence for you to claim that land or that territory, or whatever it is?
So if I was trying to find ownership of a property that I think my family had, and I could identify the property, and maybe this will help you, Manny, I would pay someone to do a title search on it. So let's say there's a house somewhere in Humacao, and Grandpa says that it's his house. We don't have any paperwork for it, but you can physically find it and you know the address. Then you can do what's called a title search, and you can go to a notary here on the island and you can run the title on it, and they can figure out who owned it and find out if it was your family. And then I don't know what you do from there. So I'm not a title expert in Puerto Rico, but I think that would give you at least a place to start.
He said he died, but my grandma doesn't want to deal with that side of the family. She's too old school. Well, man, if you can't convince her now to try to get it done and working,
yeah,
you're gonna have to deal with all your other family members, and that's a headache. That's
what we were talking about.
That's actually a story of Cerro Gordo a little bit. So my first deal was Cerro Gordo, and that's a property that we partnered on.
Yeah.
And I was talking to the neighbors because there's one side of the building that the neighbors there are like 6 generations, always lived there. That's where they have a bunch of family in there.
Yeah.
And then the other side, it's an empty home with like 6 or 7 dogs that the guy who owns it goes every day to feed the dogs. He keeps the land. It doesn't look fully abandoned, but it doesn't look like it's being kept up like with paint or anything. You got a bunch of dogs just running around.
Mm-hmm.
And I spoke to him one day because I caught him in the afternoon, and I'm like, hey, would you ever be willing to sell this? And he's like, nah, I'm going to leave this for my family, and they're going to do this, and they're going to do that. And I'm like, and I asked him, like, blatantly, how does your family get along?
You asked him, how's your family get along?
Do your children get along?
What did he say?
He kind of like stayed there and looked at me, and I'm like, I'm asking you this question. This is why. Because if they don't get along now,
yeah,
once you die,
they're really not going to get along.
Going to be able to do anything with this.
Yeah.
You're going to have one half of it that wants to sell it, and the other half that wants to do something great with it, or one of them that wants to live in it and not pay anybody anything else. And that's really tough to put your kids against each other. If they never were working together, creatively to do things, then when you put that big problem, which is a big physical problem in front of them, it's like, what do you do?
Yeah.
Instead of, hey, let me sell it. I'm going to give everybody some money, and I'm going to keep a portion. And when I die, here's the rest.
Yep.
And not leave that headache, because then it stays there for 20, 30 years. It goes on to 6 more generations down.
Yep.
And nothing happens. And that's the saddest part about the whole thing. So,
yeah. And back to Manny's situation. So Grandpa dies. Grandma's left now with a portion of this property that Grandpa, when he was alive, owned with maybe some of his relatives. So now she owns it with his relatives, and doesn't know them, or maybe she knows them and doesn't like them, but she's not going to do anything about it. Yeah. So then she's going to die, and it's going to go to her kids, and then it just becomes such a mess. I've never seen anything like it. So I've never lived anywhere before that had this kind of forced inheritance where it goes this lineage thing down. There's a portion that you can push off to whoever you want, but it still gets really super complicated. And it's hard enough when people die and everything is set up really, really well. Because like you said, someone just died, and there's mourning, and there's people being upset, and missing their father, their mother, or whatever.
Yeah.
So
it's a hard moment. And to your point, you can leave a trust fund, but they can't do nothing with it if they can't get along.
Yeah.
They can't figure out what they want to do. And if you don't leave someone to manage it in confidence, that's not going to take advantage of them.
Yeah.
It's just really, really sad what can happen here when someone passes away. And I know we got really far away from the house hack But
Well, let's go back to the house hack because honestly, we're not really experts in
no,
I don't even know what in estate law. This is just a problem that we see on the island, right? It's a problem that anyone who's ever lived on the island has seen and has experienced it. If you're Puerto Rican, you certainly have experienced it. You know that this is an issue. You know it. Your family's going through it. It's not an issue that's completely foreign to people in the States because there's always problems when people die. But let's go back to the house hack where someone could now buy a house and live in it and have the house pay for itself.
Yes. In a perfect situation, they sell you this house. You can go get an FHA loan,
Yeah.
conventional loan. If you are military or any of the armed forces, you can get a zero down loan, which is amazing. I didn't even know that was a thing until the other day.
Zero down with a VA and close to zero down with an FHA. It's like 3% down if you do FHA. So
no, it's like 3.5. But the point is, if you can get a loan and then you can get like a 2 or 3K loan, something that just gives you a little bit of money to get it going, man, you have a place that pays for itself, gets the job done. You have tenants that are never going to stop because you're turning over every what do you call it? Trimester? No.
The students every semester.
Every semester.
Yeah. The students.
Every semester you got new students in, new students out.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just something that I saw it and it clicked right away and I'm like, man, this makes sense.
Yeah. It definitely makes sense. It also makes sense if you don't want to live there, right? If you just wanted to buy it, rent it to some students, and then maybe you pay cash to get it and you refinance it out after you've fixed it up and you get a debt coverage service ratio loan. I think that's what they're called, DSCR loans. And that basically means that you take the monthly revenue and you figure out what the expenses are, and the bank will sort of easily lend you a portion of what's left over. So, and if you want to learn more about that, then I think go check out Ace Land Mortgage and Bill Halleck, and Bill can talk to you about this stuff.
Yeah, Bill's the guy.
Yeah,
Bill's the man. He's really knowledgeable. He can really help you at least get a pre-qualification letter. You hear that?
Yeah, what is that?
Sounds like water or something.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
There's a leak. Sorry. Ace Land Mortgage. Definitely talk to them. They can help you get a pre-qualification letter. They're super easy to work with. Everything's online. You don't have to go somewhere physical. As long as you got all the information they need to get you that letter, they'll let you know how much you qualify for. And that really helps too, especially like for example, me, I'm looking for something for myself and my family, and knowing, oh, okay, this is the number I could spend, or up to the number I could spend, and it's like, oh, okay, I can go find something like this and get into it and go for it.
Yep.
So, we've been going for like 38 minutes. I can show the deal a little bit more. I want to let you guys know, I'm going to put a link in the description after this where you can find the one sheet for the deal and where it's located and a couple videos I shot around the area and of the house.
Yeah. And so we're part of some groups with different, people who have come to the island, and every group that we're in, we hear about this, that they want to do a house hack, right?
Yes.
And so here is one. Adan's got it on a silver platter for you. If you've been looking for a triplex or a quadplex, this is a really nice house. Like this place, and fixed up, it could be spectacular. So the purchase price isn't really expensive. It will have plenty of equity as you buy it. And then if you fix it up, it's worth even more. If you do it based off of a rent roll thing, which I think if you just rented the whole house out, you could get to where you're making $50,000 a year on it, right? Something like that. We did the math earlier, but I think it was a little more than that even. So $50,000 a year, if you have $50,000 a year of income, you got a $500,000 property based on a 10 cap. So
yeah, you're like looking at $4,950 a month. That's without including like coin laundry or anything else you might want to do. Because you can also rent out the parking, and instead of having 6 cars there always in the way, you only have the students that are dedicated to like, hey, how important is it to have parking at night for you?
Yeah.
And that's that's something you can include in the price or add on later. That's totally however you want to run it.
Yeah.
So
So that's almost 60 grand then.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So you're talking about 59,400 a year,
A year. Yeah.
and that's a really really decent number to
Well,
start.
if you divide that number 59.4 by the purchase price, 320.
We're talking about an 18 cap.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's really numbers based off of not spending a ton of money to fix the house up. If you did go higher end with it, we've talked to Roberto Segui, who is a local realtor. That if you guys need a realtor, check out Roberto Segui. We've got some content on the channel where we sat down with Roberto. The guy's phenomenal. As far as realtors go on the island, he's one of the best. And so he was looking at it saying, hey, yeah, what you're saying, $400 a room right now, sort of as is, makes sense. Fix the place up. He thought $550, $600 a room. So you significantly increase the revenues and you just gain equity.
Yeah, it's just, I think it's a great deal, and I try to follow the rule that you kind of instilled in me. It's like, if I'm going to present a deal, I better be ready to buy it.
Yeah.
Myself. Like if I think it's a good deal, I should be willing to buy it myself, and I am willing to buy this myself.
Yep.
But I want to give the opportunity to someone out there. It's like you said, we hear you want to do this, you want to do that. This is a great project to start with. It's not a full shell. It has power and water. You can just.
It's very far from a shell. It's not a shell at all. This is a functioning house that works right now. People are living there. Power is working. Water is working. It functions.
Yes. All it needs is some paint on that. So I would do it for.
It's got doors and windows and power and running water and hot water and all of it, right?
Yeah, no, and you can do it per phases. Like you start on the second floor, which is the cleanest floor that you have. Paint. Clean out all the artist stuff that's there because there was a group of artists living up there at one point.
Yep.
And get that rented and
spruce up the kitchen a little bit and get it rented and
start working downstairs.
Yeah.
And getting that going, and then just.
And downstairs is livable because right now they're living in it, and they're going to move into their daughter's place.
Yeah.
So that'll become vacant. And the two other apartments in the back, they're vacant.
Let me see. I'm trying to show videos here. I'll let you keep talking. That's the house. So as you can see here, you got first and second have balconies on both sides. So you have a big, nice balcony. And
you can see how good looking this house is, right? Like this is a really good looking place. I just love the arches. I love the fact that it was probably built in the late 40s, early 50s, something like that. Those floors, look at those floors.
This is the second.
I've never seen those floors right there. The green and yellow, that to me, that's just cool, right? Like that's cool as the other side of the pillow. If we were renovating this place, we would never replace those floors. We would polish them up and we would keep this stuff and keep it.
Major cost.
Yeah. So you save money by not replacing them, but they're neat, right? Like they deserve to be there. They deserve to last and to stick around.
Yeah. And this is one of those storage units I was telling you that has a bathroom, has a little closet, has a shower, but I don't know if you can tell, but it's not a comfortable area. It would be a really tight studio. You would have to have at least a twin bed to feel comfortable that you can walk around in, or some sort of futon. And if you feel like you can convert this into something bigger or better, then
it's got a little balcony off of the front.
Well, this is the one at the bottom.
Oh, this is the one so this one is the one that you're thinking you make laundry.
You make the laundry.
And then upstairs is something that mirrors this. It's about the same size, but it's got a little balcony in the front that you could pull off. You'd pick up an extra 2.5 or 3 feet, and that makes a big difference.
It does. And even a crazy idea which I proposed to Roberto was like, if you wanted to, there's only one coin laundry in that whole area, and it's up the hill and you got to walk to the side. But for the people around that area, I would prefer it be a private amenity just for the house.
Yeah.
But if you really wanted that extra cash flow, you have a separate entrance that they don't have to walk in
Mhm.
the house, just walk to the side. They go to that, do their coin laundry there, and walk out the other way. And they don't have to interact with any of your tenants at all. The only problem is if you're renting out those parking spots, you got to go through cars and you want that.
And I imagine this is not so big that you couldn't have a ton of people coming. So it's sort of perfect to put in 2 or 3 washers and dryers so that your guests or the students that are living there use it, right?
So yeah, like I would tear this out. You have all the water and electric running this way. So
yeah.
Line it up all down this way where the chairs are, and I think you can fit at least 2 to 4 wash and dry on one side and 2 to 4 wash and dry on the other side. At least have 4 and 4, and have decent space, because if you live in the house, you're not going to stay there washing clothes. You just go, put it, walk back upstairs, wait for an hour, come back down, put it, switch it. It's great. Let me see what else we got. That's a little bathroom in that little storage unit. See, so it has a bathroom, it has a shower. And I think this.
So this is cool. That's the stairs outside, and they go all the way right up to the roof.
I'm done. We're getting kicked out.
The stairs go, straight up to the second floor and then up to the roof. So that's very cool.
And here's something.
And nice views too.
Let me see if I show it here. All right, so that's the bathroom there. So this right here is actually a bathroom.
Okay.
It's pretty crazy. So you have space up. It's so big. I want to show you guys this in the back here. So this is a bad shot on my side, but this building right here,
the white building in the back,
that white building got bought, and they're doing everything to it. They put in windows, they put in brand new ACs, brand new kitchens. I'm not sure if they're thinking with short term in mind, but the finishes to me scream more student housing than anything.
Okay.
And it doesn't have rooftop access. It has only one set of parking on one side, which you could probably fit about 2 cars. And it is a bigger place that has more independent units, but it doesn't have the infrastructure. Oh, there's a little studio right here on the corner.
Yeah, the red roof thing there, that's the studio. So the building in the back that they're fixing up, do you know what they paid for it?
$285.
They paid $285 for something that they're doing a complete renovation on. Doesn't have the same amount of parking. It doesn't have the main house may be a little bigger, but it doesn't have the extra units and things like that, and doesn't have the parking.
Yeah, this is the little shower they created in the back for the second floor. And here we go. That's the second floor. So you got the little balcony as you walk out this way. See, little artists live out there. Nice decorative gate.
Yeah, I really like this neighborhood. There's our place way off in the distance. Yeah, that's right. I like this neighborhood as we're getting more into it and stuff. The homes there have a lot of charm. I said it earlier. So there's just a lot of character and charm. They built these places. They're big too, right? Like, so when we're talking about renting them out by the bedroom, we're not talking about renting a 10 by 10 room either. These are big 12 by 12 rooms or bigger for the most part.
They all join. So like you could, in theory, tear down one of the walls and extend one of the rooms. But I just figured you keep them all the same size, you can ask for the same price.
Yeah.
If not, you got to be.
Unless you're going to live in it, and the reason I wouldn't go tearing down walls and stuff is because this is the way the house was designed, and you might mess up those floors. I would leave as much of it as you can.
Yeah.
Because it does have character, it does have charm.
That's
so
the first original bathroom there. Really big, nice bathroom.
Does anybody else have any more questions? And if you've been watching, we'd love to hear what you think. Give us some questions, give us some feedback. Hit the like button for us. We really appreciate that. And yeah, we'll stick around, answer questions for a little while. If this is something that interests you, like if you've been looking for a place to call home, or if you've just been looking for your first investment and you can get qualified for a loan, hit Adan up. Adan, you should give them your email.
You can email me at the Flip Flop Flipper or rentals by axa@gmail.com, and I'll get back to you there. And if you want to schedule some time to go look at it, that's the best place to start. So again, I'm gonna leave this link over in the descriptions. We're gonna have all those videos if you want to look at it there, and let's make a deal. Let's do something.
Yeah, and you guys, so we like doing deals. That's why we have this YouTube channel. We invite people to do deals with us. That's how we expand our business. We grow through partnerships. So if you're interested in something like this and you'd like to do a deal with us, then the flipflopflipperpr@gmail.com is the way to get in touch with us. It's the flipflopflipperpr@gmail.com. And
We're getting kicked out, guys.
our hour is up. We're getting the hook. My wife says it's time to go. So I think that will probably have to end it really quick here. Any other questions that we didn't answer yet, or are we good to go?
It's all good, guys. I hope you enjoy your weekend. Thank you again for your time, and see you on the next one.
Yeah, thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on Deal Flippers. God bless.